With that, Morny, who is next?
Fairy Star, pulling them up now.
All right, cool stuff. Fairy Star, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello. Why are you not planning your fucking wedding, Fairy Star? Like,
Well, I have a Final Fantasy themed cake.
all right, well, there you go. That's good enough. Anyways, what's your question, Fairy Star?
So with regards to like the Shadowlands, I didn't play it that much. I played the start and through the original campaign, but then I stopped basically. I don't really understand. Like, I never really fully understood the Titan thing, but
What do you
now
mean?
with
What Titan
Shadowlands
thing?
as well, like, just I guess I thought of them as like the gods that created the world, but then they brought in the whole first ones thing, and now I'm not really sure what the difference is between the first ones and the Titans.
Okay, so first one's Titans. Basically, you can look at it as parents and children. The Titans are the children of the first ones. The first ones is a race of being or a power or an energy or something that we have never seen before. We have no idea exactly what they're all about. We know that they created everything. This is the only thing we really know about them. This is where we sort of have to start asking ourselves a bunch of questions, because what does created mean? The Titans don't have a word that differentiates between ordering and creating. Their word for order and create, same thing. You could sort of ask yourself, well, did the first ones also just order the place? Or did the first ones actually create the place? It's very difficult to answer because we know so little about the first ones. We don't even know what happened to them, if they're still around, if they've left and went somewhere else, because we know when you look at the cosmological map and you zoom out, there are things on the outside of that. But what exactly that is, we don't know. We just know what is in our cosmological circle, and obviously they are not there.
So what does that make, like, the Winter Queen and the Jailer and...
Okay, so the Winter Queen and the Jailer, they are eternal ones. So basically children of the first ones, but on the side of death. But technically still Titans.
At least in power. Like, I know that it's been rolled back a bit, but Ian once said that the Jailer in specific was like a Titan plus plus.
The Titan plus plus thing can be broken down in multiple ways, because Titan plus plus can mean that he is, like Sargeras, is very powerful, but this is where sort of you have to remember Sargeras wasn't more powerful than the other Titans. What gave him the edge over the other Titans was twofold. One is that Sargeras was the warrior Titan. That's why Sargeras was tasked with fighting the demons, because he was better at combat than the other Titans. But then also Sargeras sort of aligned himself with Foul, for which the Titans have a natural weakness to. So Titans can be defeated pretty easily with Foul. Sargeras used the Foul against his Titan brothers, and that is why brothers and sisters, and that is why he could defeat them. Suval, on the other hand, could also just be a warrior, but we know he isn't. He is the Arbiter. But his power most likely comes from the amount of souls that he's been able to absorb and then use, obviously, to his advantage. It's a distinction without a real difference. This is why I have such a problem with Shadowlands, because Shadowlands needlessly convolutes the story of World of Warcraft to the point where your average WoW player will have a very hard time without the help of Noble, for example, Balila, or myself even, of understanding what the hell is going on. If you're just someone that's playing for the fun of it, if you miss, like, there's just a couple of things in the story, you're going to be super lost about what is actually going on.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel, like, because I used to be quite into the lore, then I dropped out in, like, BFA and Shadowlands, and now I'm really enjoying Dragonflight, so I'm sort of like, well, nice. I kind of want to understand what's going on, but they just seem to have too many, like, tiers and, like, splinters of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, and it's just, it gets a bit convoluted, and you're just like, well, why do you even have these guys? Because what was, like, I think probably quite a lot of people felt like the Titans were just, like, the gods that created stuff. And that was fine. Like, I don't really know why we needed these first ones. Because now you're just sort of edging on the question of people are going to be asking, well, who made them and who made them and who made them?
Yeah.
And like you could just go on and on forever. Whereas if you just left it at the one with the Titans, people can quite easily accept like that there is an entity. They don't necessarily always. It's like people who believe in God.
Yeah.
They don't ask themselves, well, who made God? Like, he just is.
Yeah.
But once you make somebody bigger than God who made God, you start going down.
Yeah,
that
now you start asking, wait, but okay, who made that thing? Because if there's so, I agree with you. It is the sort of someone in chat, Savan just said, keep it simple, stupid, right? That's almost always the best bet, and I genuinely believe. So this is a theory that I've had, based on some insider trading. So not gonna lie, there is a little bit of insider trading here, but also at the same time, just looking at the way the story plays out, it seems to make sense. But Shadowlands feels like it suffers from, or suffered from, a bunch of rewrites. The rewrites explain why a lot of the things are so broken. You see, because they had this, I believe, they had this plan with the Eternal Ones. The Eternal Ones weren't ever supposed to be on the level of Titans. They were supposed to be their own thing, more almost like Guardians. And it might also even be that the first ones was supposed to be something that was only really tied to the Shadowlands and not really tied to anything else. But due to rewrites and how the Shadowlands played out as a story, they ultimately, I think, had to... When I say rewrites, I think, just to be clear, I don't mean that they rewrote the whole story. I mean that they cut a bunch of things. So they basically left a bunch of things out that maybe should have been in there from the beginning. And I think that's where that convolution comes from. That makes it very difficult for people to actually follow. At least that would be my guess. Because I fully understand why a lot of people might feel very awkward right now with the lore. And why the convolution sort of feels as if it's overwhelming at times.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems with Shadowlands is that they tried to not only go, like, high theory cosmic, like this whole thing of the 6 different forces and trying to pull that in there, but also try to go in depth with the Shadowlands and try to get... Basically, they were spinning too many plates. They had to expand on the Shadowlands. What exactly happens there? Okay, we have this pantheon of death, or we have these watchers that are the guardians of these various zones that, depending on who you were in life, this is where you get shuffled, that kind of thing. And then they were like, well, yeah, but the light attacked here, the void attacked there, the jailer got banished sometime long ago, and then something first ones, yada yada yada. And it just kind of spiraled out of control the minute they were like, we want to expand the lore. And normally I am against this, just because I really would rather see WoW in the lens of show don't tell. But when it comes to cosmic mythos, a book would have probably been better, and that was where the Grimoire of the Shadowlands failed epically.
Don't say books, bro! Trigger!
I know. But in this case, I feel like if they split up Shadowlands' focus and had Shadowlands the game be focused on the actual lore of the Shadowlands and maybe touched a little bit on the bigger picture, and then actually pay off with the Grimoire like we thought it was going to be, instead of this like weird Dante's Inferno fanfic thing that it turned into, it would have been a little bit smoother. It off because they just went, they just expanded too far. Because
I think you're cutting out. Is that? Oh wait, my internet is cutting out.
Oh shit.
I'm having some lag spikes. Not sure why, but it seems to have calmed down. So we good? At least I hope we're
Yeah,
good.
but that's all I was going to add to that, is that they started with everyone being on the same playing field, but the problem was everyone knew nothing, and so there wasn't anything to really have a solid foundation on.
Yeah, on the book side, and this is probably a little bit of good news for you, Fairy Star, and for other players that might be feeling a little bit lost. On this side, if you watch the Preach interview, it seems like Blizzard is very much aware of the mistakes that they have made. They know that they didn't do enough to explain the story of Shadowlands, and I have to say, just playing through Dragonflight, that's already evident. They have already recognized what their mistakes were and how to solve those mistakes. Why? Because there's no convoluted stories here. The stories right now, at least, isn't convoluted at all. They're actually pretty straightforward, easy to follow, but intricate enough to make things interesting. And I think that's what Shadowlands is.
Shadowlands feels like maybe what it could have been, and maybe what it was intended following this compilation, was like if we'd gone and each of the Shadowlands realms corresponded to a Titan that we knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but instead they just added this other faction and confused people. So maybe what they needed to do was have made a different expansion first, where they sort of sowed the seeds of the fact that these people exist and they're the like death version of the Titans, so that people kind of had breadcrumbs, because it kind of felt like we were meant to know what all of this was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I was just like, what?
Yeah, I think so. Just to sort of link up with you there, I agree with you. It feels like it really does feel like Shadowlands. The books of Anna should have come out at the beginning, like I said, because that would have immediately explained a lot of the decisions. And this time around, we have none of those issues. I think they've done a remarkable job in Dragonflight of explaining what has happened up until this point. So if you're a new player coming into World of Warcraft now for the first time ever, you should understand at least the basics of what is necessary. Of course, you're not going to understand the full history, and nor should you. There's a lot of history that you need to know, and for that, you're going to have to buy the books. That's fine. But at least you're not feeling lost. At least no one that I know really cares that much about the lore, and none of them have come to me saying, oh yeah, I don't understand what the fuck this is. What the hell is this story all about? So, yeah, I think... Wait, there's a hunting party here. What the hell is this? What's hunts? Anyway, sorry. So, yeah, I think we should... I think you should wait and see. That's genuinely what I would do. I would wait and see if Blizzard even continues with the stories of Shadowlands. Because I think there's a good chance that they won't. I think Blizzard wants to forget the past. So let the Eternal Ones just die.
That expansion didn't happen. It's fine.
Pretty much. That's what I think. That's the feeling that I get with Dragonflight, at least, is they don't want the old... They definitely don't want Shadowlands to ever exist again.
Yeah, and that's kind of disappointing to me. My favorite villain and my favorite classic archetype for villainry has always been the undead. So with what they did to Arthas as far as a disservice to his character, and what they could have done with the jailer and the Shadowlands in and of itself, was very disappointing.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. Sorry, there's a thing here. There's a thing. I don't know what the fuck this thing is, but I'm supposed to kill it, I think. Artwork or some shit.
Thanks for answering my question.
Thank you very much for the question. Really appreciate that. Very. Take care of yourself and go plan your wedding.
And congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, congratulations,
Thanks.
but now go plan it.